Hello, Drawing 2. I wanted to show you today how to do this thing called the law of diminishing size. Now, you may already know a little bit about this. It could be something that you did when you were in Drawing 1. Like let's say you were doing a room interior. You might have made some tiles, and a lot of times you'll learn how to do this law of diminishing size when you're doing that. So, you can apply that same idea to figuring out how things should change in size and figure out where to plot them or position them as they go back into space in your cityscape drawings. So I already got us started here. I have a little structure. I've got my horizon line and my two vanishing points, and I have just a real simple structure. I've got a door and I have a window. I didn't finish all the lines yet because I'm going to be adding some things to this drawing. And just so you realize when you're doing this, you can figure out how to logically place windows on a building, or maybe it's lampposts or bushes that you're putting in, or maybe a fence, anything that goes back into space, instead of just guessing where it goes, although sometimes you can make some logical estimates as how that should look when it's diminishing. This gives you a formula for how to do it, and I think it's really helpful to at least understand this, so that way you can apply it to your drawings in whichever way you feel like you need to. So I'm going to start by creating some guidelines. Now I'm going to have my lampposts going back into space, so I need to create a little frame for them, and I'm going to do that with just a few guidelines going back to my vanishing point, like so. And then, in order to kind of figure this out, I need to complete my little square. So let's do that right here. And I'll make these lines a little heavier so it's easier to see. So I'm going to start with my square here. So I have my square. And then I need to find the center of that square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an X. And that X is going to go back to the two corners of my box. So just like this. Now I have the middle plotted out on my little square. And from that center point, I'm going to go back into space. So I've got to add another line just like so. So now I have an X, I have my square, my tile, and I have a center line going back to that vanishing point. Next, I'm going to draw a line from this corner of the box. I could pick the opposite one as well. From this corner of my box through the middle of where this line meets the edge of my tile. And when I do that, just like this, that line is eventually going to hit the opposite vanishing line. So I start on this vanishing line, it's going to end on the other one. And like I said, you could flip this going the other direction. Now I have a new point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a little line ending my tile, and that line goes back to the opposite vanishing point. So now I have one tile and I have two tiles. Let's do it again. From here through the center, just like so. And now I have a new spot, new place where that line meets. And I'm going to do the same thing. Now, these are all guides. you're probably going to erase a lot of this once you've found the centers, or once you've spaced out where you're going to place your objects. Let's do it again. From this point back to here. And we'll do another one, just like so. Now what you're going to find as you keep going further and further away, those little tiles that you're drawing are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. That's logical because, you know, really the horizon is, well, an infinite amount of distance away. So eventually they're going to become, you know, almost nothing. But we'll make another one and then we'll stop. This is just to give me a cue as to where to place things in my scene so that they make logical sense in my drawing. Okay, so I have these squares. What I'm going to do next is from the center point, can figure out where to place things. Now, you could do this different ways. I could put one here, maybe skip one, and then put another one here, skip one, and put another one here. And if that were lamp poles, well, shoot, those lamp poles are going to be really close together. I'd have to skip quite a few more to do it. I might put a row of bushes in. That would make sense. That would work really well for this. So let me draw a little cylinder here to kind of give myself a guide. And I can use this square to help me figure out how to draw this. And then from that center point, I could make my bush. So I'm going to freehand that part. So let me grab a pen, and let's say I have my trunk here. There's a nice plant. Yeah. Okay, so now I have one bush. Now, I'm going to skip one. All right, I feel like that would be a little bit too close to place my next one. So I'm going to skip one. And just like I had done here, I've got to find the center of this box now so that I know where to place it. I'm just going to draw an X like I did at the very beginning. So that is now the center. And this will be where I put my plant. Now I can draw another one. And what this does is it gives me a frame of reference for how far things should be spaced as they're going back into the distance. Now I could get more elaborate with this. I could draw a cube in which to frame my box. That could be helpful. Now I'm not going to go that far with it. I'm just going to kind of use this as a guide for like where I place them. But you certainly could if you'd like. Let's do one more. Now I'm going to skip one again. Remember I skipped one here. I'm going to skip this one right here. And now that's my new center point. And what you're going to notice now is as those bushes go back into space, they're going to be getting, or they're going to appear to get closer and closer and closer. And something that could help you, like if you're planning the height of something, like I have these plants, I'm going to give myself an extra little guide. Now, plants are organic, so they can be different heights, but this upper line is just giving me something to help me approximate how tall those plants should be. And let's do another one here. I'll start from down here because this is my center point. And again, I'm using that line as kind of a guide. And so there we go. Okay, so now I have my bushes spaced out. They're diminishing in size in a logical way as they get further away. Remember, you know, things are going to be dramatically closer together and smaller the closer they get to this point. But now I have at least a frame of reference for how to place things. Let me go ahead and draw in this house a bit so that the picture will look a little bit more finished, and you've got a sense for how everything is fitting together. I'll put my window in here too. Okay, so you have our house, we have our trees that are going back into space. Using this law of diminishing size, I can figure out how things fit together while still showing a sense of depth. It gives me a formula to work from, and I think it could be helpful when you're figuring out, possibly where to put windows in your buildings, or possibly where to space houses, depending on how far away they're going. And it gives you a formula to do some of those things. Hope this was helpful. Have a great day.